What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Anything Liverpool live stream with myself, Burke, Dylan, and Deck. Thank you so much for joining us on this midweek stream where we will be discussing a number of different topics, including those regarding Antoine Semenyo and apparently Fabrizio Romano's update regarding him. He's gone a full 180 on what he said not literally a week ago. We're going to take a look at some of the news regarding Crystal Palace, Marc Guehi, and his possibility of moving in the January window, and the big bomb that sort of came from Lewis Steele regarding that Liverpool could have had one of Rodrygo or Barcola, but decided to put all of their chips on Rio Ngumoha. We'll talk all about that and everything else when we get into the stream. Before we do, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos as well, so that you never miss out. If you are currently watching on X, I'm going to put it in the bio in the comments below now as we introduce our guest. But if you're currently watching on X, make sure to jump over to the comment section of this particular stream. You will see the link straight to our YouTube page. I'm going to put it in there now, so make sure that you stick around for that. But Deck, I'm going to throw it over to you first. Welcome to the stream. A couple of days since we've been on stream. Yeah. How have you found the international break? There's been a couple of good games with the Scotland and Ireland game, and how those games ended up. Like, if international football every break ended up like this with 96-minute winners, I think we'd actually, probably enjoy it a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Nice to be on with you, mate. I haven't done a stream with you for a while, Stephen, so nice to be on. It's great, isn't it? I mean, Scott McTominay's turned into like some sort of Italian beast. Like, his aura is like he spent 6 months over in Italy, and he's absolutely incredible. And to think Man United were happy to get rid of him when he was playing alongside Fred. But Scotland were great yesterday. Everyone's seen Andy Robbo's post-match interview after the game, very emotional. Reminds us all of very much how everyone was affected by Diogo Jota, of course. But at Ireland the other night, incredible scenes. I've seen some of the fan reactions. They've been great. For me, I don't know whether it's just because I'm a Scotia, being, a Liverpool fan or whatnot. England don't really do it for me. And it was just actually nice for once during an international break to see the likes of Ireland and Scotland just be absolute power horses and come through that, and not only just come through it, but actually dominate games and score great goals as well.
Yeah, it was. Look, as an Irish fan myself, and Dylan would be the same when I ask him this question. And I'm going to call Dylan out a little bit on this because he didn't believe. Dylan didn't believe. He was like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch us get our shit pushed in by Hungary and Portugal over them last two games." But Troy Parrott had words for you, Dylan. Yeah. How did you find a couple of games? Because I know for a fact that I was in the pub watching the game, and if you've seen the reactions all over social media about Ireland getting that goal, and that's not even to get through to the World Cup. That's to get through to a playoff, to have a sniff at a chance. Ireland haven't been at a World Cup since 2002, and we haven't been at an international tournament since 2016. So this is pretty big when it comes to us, Dylan. Isn't that right?
Yeah, no, and I know a lot of people don't think, because I don't sound Irish, most people don't even realise I am, but born and bred Irish, but just moved over when I was little. So yeah, to be able to finally enjoy an international break for a change, because like you said before the games last Wednesday when I was on, I was saying I'm not looking forward to getting battered by Hungary and then Portugal over 2 games. So yeah, really, really good for Troy Parrott to come through and obviously get everything he deserves from that. Hopefully he gets his statue and everything like that. But obviously people thought we were being genuine about signing him and everything like that. It's just let us enjoy his time up there. Don't bring a downer onto it from it. That's what I'd say. And obviously, congrats to the Scots as well for getting through. I know we only got to the playoffs and they got through, but yeah, just buzzing to actually enjoy an international break for a change rather than sitting watching us get beat by everyone like we did when we lost to Armenia, which is what usually happens to us. So.
Yeah, it's like, and I wouldn't mind. I think it was we were 1-0 up against Portugal, and you put a message into the chat, be like, "That'll be 4-1 now." Loss.
Yeah, that'll be 5-1 soon enough. Yeah,
it was perfect. It was beautiful. It was almost poetic in a sense. And if anybody that's heard like Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On," that is essentially how every Irish fan felt as Caoimhín Kelleher put the ball into the box and was headed on by Scales and put in the net by Troy Parrott. Yeah. The pub that I was in when that game happened, I jumped and was hugging the bartender. There was 2 of my mates stood on the bar cheering. One guy ran round the pub completely shirtless, screaming his head off. Another guy had 2 stools like this, just shaking them. This is unprecedented when it comes to Ireland support. And look, we may have had a bit of a poke of a fun at Dominic Szoboszlai because he celebrated like this. It was obviously to his teammate, not to the Irish fans. But I'm very sorry to tell you, I love Szoboszlai. I love him to death, but he can get fucked.
Yeah.
Ireland are going through. I don't really care. But Ben Sensen, you'll probably want to start your visa application for America just in case. We all know how hard that can be. Oh, I'm not going near America. Week in Canada and a week in Mexico. Good luck. I'm not going anywhere near that shithole in the middle. So that's what I'm looking at it. Burke, your first stream with ourselves, my friend. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the page. Happy to have you. Give me your thoughts on the international break yourself. Did you catch any of the games too? Were you able to see some of the late winners or see some of the reaction online to, like a lot of Scottish fans went absolutely ballistic when Scotland scored their 3rd goal. And obviously then their 4th from the halfway line too. And then obviously Ireland getting their 96-minute winner on literally the last kick of the game. If international football was like this every time, we'd love it.
Yeah, absolutely. We can say that all the time. The international break is a rest for a part of the league, especially in the Premier League. 38 games or something, FA Cups, Carabao Cups. But I actually didn't expect that. Because the Scots going to the World Cup for the first time in years, probably, and the emotional speech of Robo about Jota, I see that in the morning. After that, the Irish people seem to be very happy right now. Troy Paris last minute goal. And it really is a good international break for us, to all of the fans in the world. That's all for international breaks. I hope to see Liverpool coming back more strong than ever. So that's it for me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. With Liverpool coming back stronger, we actually do have, according to Opta's analysis and Opta's power rankings, basically of what they put on each football club, Liverpool and Man City have the easiest and second easiest schedules over their next 8 Premier League games, respectively. So Liverpool have the easiest, Man City have the second easiest. Dylan, there's no such thing as an easy game in the Premier League, but on a points per game basis, Liverpool had the toughest start to the Premier League, and Arsenal had one of the easier starts to the Premier League. And now Arsenal are suffering some injuries. They have Gabriel, who's injured. They have Calafiori, who returned from camp but should be okay. Then they also had a setback with Kai Havertz, who means he's going to be out until at least 2026. They don't know when exactly with him. But is this Arsenal now are also, when I looked at the rankings as well, Arsenal, I think, have the 5th or 6th hardest run of their next 8 games. A lot of bogey teams in there, and they're missing one of the biggest key components for them with their set piece threat in Gabriel for at least a month, if not 2 months. So those 8 games seem to be pivotal for both Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. Is this the time to sort of begin capitalizing? Because Arsenal have like the North London derby, they have Chelsea and they have Bayern, all in the space of 8 days. They've nearly 4 games in 10 days coming up, and that's a lot of game time for guys who will be backups, and we've seen what happened to them last year. Is this the time for Liverpool to capitalize on a bit of a weaker schedule and gain some traction on the top spots?
Yeah, absolutely. And usually I'm the type of person who kind of looks at it, and I kind of look at it and go, well, you have to play everyone at some point, regardless of where you play them, in that type of frame of mind. But equally, it's about build momentum for phases as well, because if you go on a run of 4 or 5 games where you potentially have your easier fixtures, and then you come into a couple of harder fixtures, you're coming into it with confidence. Whereas if you play a couple of harder games, then you come into the easier fixtures on the back of a couple of defeats, it could quite easily spiral into those easy games then being taken out of hand. So hopefully coming into the, if you will, easier run of games that people expect us to win, hopefully coming off the back of an international break away from the City performance to kind of put that to bed now after a couple of weeks, and hopefully start with Forest and kind of build a bit of momentum into this, if you will, easier run of fixtures. So then when Arsenal have a harder run of fixtures, as you pointed out, hopefully even a couple of draws here and there, we slowly start to edge a couple of points back on them, both on them and potentially on City if they don't win all of their games in that period as well. And then it goes from 8 points behind to even 4 or 5 points behind. And easily then coming into January, it just starts to build that tiny bit more pressure on Arsenal's performances then, where they know, shit, if we do lose another game, if we draw another game, potentially they're still on our coattails. Whereas at the moment, 8 points behind before that, when you lost to City, it kind of looks in and go, well, that's a bit of a situation we've got ourselves in. So it's kind of how this can kind of swing momentum back and forth between us, where we've got a good, if you will, 5 or 6 games. So yeah, I think it's the perfect kind of time to strike while that iron's hot on us. And if we can get a couple of wins together, really start to push on from there, hopefully.
Burke, with the game at the weekend, and we won't touch on it too much because we'll have the guys looking at it on Friday, but with the game at the weekend, Sean Dyche has now come into Nottingham Forest and they've begun playing the long ball and sitting back and defending a little bit better, more than they did under Nuno and then that absolutely disastrous spell under Ange. But considering the game at the weekend, is this the time, as I've said, I'll ask you the same question that I asked Dylan, really. Is this the time to put a marker down, get a couple of wins together, begin clawing back some points, and then all of a sudden you're sat 4 or 5 points behind Arsenal or City in second or third, possibly in January, and all of the pressure then begins to mount on Arsenal to finish the job, which they haven't been able to do for the last number of years?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm looking at the fixture right now, and within the 5 matches after the international break, we have a really good chance to take the leadership, because the Arsenal making matches with Tottenham and Chelsea after the international break, but we have Nottingham Forest first and then West Ham. They are not. They didn't start the league they wanted. They changed their coaches. They changed their systems. So we need to take the leadership in the Premiership, because as you said, after the January, we can make transfers for our team to make it better. Yes, we had good players on the team, and we had made good transfers in the summer transfer window last summer, but we still have a system to make the players better, because, for example, we transferred Wirtz for 150 million, and we still, as you said, we will talk about Semenyo, for example. You had 150 million, and you had already spent on Wirtz, so you need to still talking about the left wingers, as you said, Barcola or Rodrygo, and yeah, we need to take the leadership or close the gap with the Arsenal or Manchester City, etc. So this is a really good chance for us.
Yeah, I think it is as well. Deck, looking at the fixtures between the 22nd of November and the 13th of December,
Yes.
Liverpool play Nottingham Forest at home, PSV at home, West Ham away, Sunderland at home. Thank God that is at home, because they are playing unbelievable away at home now.
The massive game, that Sunderland game, you know.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think it, but Sunderland are playing fantastic. Now, the thing about it is, Sunderland are dropping 7 players who are going to AFCON, and AFCON starts that week. So that could be a blessing in disguise for us. Leeds then away from home on Saturday the 6th. My dad is going to that game in Ellen Road. We then have Inter Milan away from home on Tuesday the 9th of December, and then Saturday the 13th of December we're home to Brighton. So it's Forest at home, PSV at home, West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Leeds away, Inter away, and then we have Brighton at home to finish off that round of fixtures. There's a lot of
7
good games
yeah.
in there where you can get unbelievable point scores. And I won't lie as well, those that Champions League game against PSV, we should win that. If we don't win that, there's something very, very wrong. We need to win that game. Similarly with the Inter game, I can take a draw at Inter. I don't mind a draw away to Inter in the San Siro. They're one of the best defensive teams in the world at the moment. I don't mind a draw there. We then play Marseille away from home, and then we obviously play Karabag at home to finish out the Champions League.
Right.
You could easily see us getting 3 wins and 1 draw in that Champions League and getting ourselves into the top 8. But there's a serious list of fixtures there that you could see Liverpool, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Do you foresee Liverpool getting anywhere close to 15 out of 15 points? Or should I say you expect us to get 15 out of 15 there for the Premier League?
Well, I mean, the Premier League fixtures now, Stephen, and that's a great question, by the way, because if you break it down individually and you do just look at the Champions League as a separate division, essentially, which it is, we should only really Marseille, Karabakh, and PSV. We should win them 3 games. The only game that I would accept us dropping points in is Inter Milan into San Siro, just because of who they are and the football that they play at the moment. Like you said, they're great defensively. Talking about the Premier League, if we can't get a run of fixtures together now, and we get a run of wins together and we build up some form, and if we don't do it now with them fixtures, Forest, West Ham, Leeds, Sunderland, you could argue that because they're second in the league, or they're near the top of the table, third, or but it's still Sunderland. We're at Anfield. We're better than that. Theoretically, if we don't do it now, then is it just a case of we put all our eggs into the Champions League and you beat Marseille, PSV, Karabakh, and you take a draw at Inter Milan? I couldn't tell you. But only time will tell. I'm going to the Forest game on the weekends at Anfield, so after this international break, it'd be nice to go and watch some football, and we get the 3 points. So we start from there, and I think we do beat Forest, if I'm being honest. I think you're right in saying that we should beat PSV, because at the end of the day, we are just a better side on paper, especially. We haven't really been in the best form, but this international break has hopefully done something for the players. It's, I said in my video I posted the other day, that it should, hopefully level them a little bit, and if they've got if their minds are racing, hopefully it will bring them back central, and they come back fighting. And like I said, if we can't do it now, I don't see where we pick up this run of form, because let's be honest, lads, it can't really carry on, can it? It can't carry on like this. It can't. No, I'm being serious. It has to stop somewhere, and maybe now's the time that we do that.
I think if we're going to build real pressure on Arsenal, I think you have to look at 12 to 15
especially
points.
With Gabriel being out now, with their centre half, the captain being out, it
has to be 12 to 15 points just to put the pressure on them, I think.
100%, Dylan. 100%.
Yeah. Looking at the fixtures then, just to see by comparison. So Liverpool have Forest at home, West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Leeds away, and Brighton at home between now and the 13th of December. So a lot of time there. Arsenal, by comparison, will be playing the following, and I'm going to include their Champions League fixtures because I did for us as well.
Okay.
Arsenal have Spurs at home, Bayern Munich at home, Chelsea away, Brentford at home, Aston Villa away, Club Brugge away, and Wolves at home. There's a couple of games there. If you're missing Gabriel, who's your biggest threat on set pieces, and one of your best defenders, yes, you have Piero Hincapié and you have Calafiori and all that, but immediately, if you can't create open play and your best threat is your set pieces, and you've now lost biggest threat on that, and you're not getting Kai Havertz back as quick as you thought you would, and Gyökeres as well, we have no indication of when he's going to be back. He left. He wasn't with the international squad at all for Sweden.
Wasn't he? No, I didn't know that. I didn't know Gyökeres wasn't there.
Jurriën Timber went down as well. Jurriën Timber went down for the Netherlands as well, and was apparently in proper pain and is being scanned at the moment. So we don't know how he is going to show up either. So that's
perfect time.
2 defenders from their starting back 4 gone. Their Gyökeres is yet to come back, so that's their starting striker gone. So that means then they're going to probably be playing Marino up front, Zubamendi and Odegaard, if he's even fit at the minute, along with Declan Rice in the midfield, they don't really have anybody beyond that in their midfield to put in. They then have Madueke, Trossard, Eze, Martinelli and Saka for the 3 positions up front outside of Marino. So there's 6 guys for 3 positions up front. They have a lot of games to come through, and that defense as well. They have Mosquera as well as a centre back. They have good defenders to come in, but the key point is that they create so little from open play. Just to give you an example of this, they create so little from open play. If I can get it here, where is the numbers of that overview of it in the Premier League? I'm trying to take a look here of how many set pieces they have scored. I think they've scored 20 goals in the whole season, right? I'm nearly 100% sure 75% of them are from set pieces.
Like long throws,
and if you now lose
corners, free kicks.
Yeah. And if you now lose your biggest set piece threat, that's going to fall off, and then you lose your biggest defender as well. As we said, as Dylan mentioned, getting 12, 15 points out of the next 5 Premier League games is, if you want to keep the pressure on Arsenal and make them fold in January and February and March, now's the time to do it. And there's no better perfect time for us to get those fixtures in and out the way, because that will be just perfect from us from a standpoint. But, and as well, that can't be true. Is that true? Victor Gyökeres is their top scorer in the Premier League with 4 goals.
Yeah, he is, I think.
Just to tell you how many of those goals he scored, one of them was a penalty. 75% of them were against Leeds and Burnley. He scored a penalty and a tap-in against Leeds, and he scored a goal against Burnley. 75% of his goals have come against lower, basically relegation sides. So again, you're looking at a squad that isn't really going to be able to create all that much. But we need to capitalize on that at the same time. We cannot hope that Arsenal drop. We need to capitalize on it. We just need to win by any means. I don't care if they score 10 own goals. I don't give 2 shits. 3 points, all that matters. Now, before we move on to the next topics that we are going to discuss, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on for our future streams and videos so that you never miss out as well. There is a link straight to our YouTube page in the bio, or not in the bio, should I say, in the comments below on this. If you're watching on Twitter at the moment, do jump over, do give us a like, give us a subscription, give us a comment on anything, and let us know what you think. Get comments involved in this stream as well. We love to hear it. But we're going to talk now about the sources in Spain stating that Marc Guehi is pretty much wrapped up with regards to a signing. Now, it didn't mention whether that was going to be in January or if that was going to be in the summer with regards to a free transfer. But considering Konate's situation being up in the air, the ACL injury to Giovanni Leone, Joe Gomez being unfortunately not able to be relied upon due to injuries and whatnot, Deck, does it seem that we're probably going to move for Marc Guehi in January? Because it seems it could be Marc Guehi and Semenyo at this rate.
Yeah. The Semenyo stuff's very interesting, but I think we've got enough attackers that we can't fit in to play together that well at the moment. So, Isak, Ekitike, Waite, Salah, Gakpo, like Ngumoha, Chiesa. Semenyo would be fantastic, but we need, let's just all stop beating around the bush here. It's a centre half that we need. I was screaming that all summer that we needed a centre half, and I think even with Leone coming in, we needed a centre half regardless. So we needed a centre half before Leone or before we sold Gerald Kwanzaa. Whether Slot liked Kwanzaa or not, it's still someone that you can have in the squad. So I was a bit surprised at Kwanzaa going, to be honest with you. Especially if the Marc Guehi stuff was left until almost, if not deadline day. I remember at the time, Stephen, we were talking in the group all them weeks back. It was literally like the window had closed and we had the here we go. And do you blame the club for leaving it that late? You don't know. Look, you don't know, and you can't. We're never gonna know. It'd be great to be a fly on the wall in there, but we're never gonna know. I think when that happened, I said to a few of the lads in the group that it's gonna happen in January. You don't wait until the summer, and I think the start of this season and the way we've been defensively, we've got a +1 goal difference, right? We've conceded 17 goals. It's not good. We've got a +1 goal difference, so that's got to play a factor. The uncertainty of, like you said, Joe Gomez has to play a factor, and like I said, the way we've started this season. So, to answer your question, yeah, I think if we don't get Marc Guehi in January, there's something wrong, and he could be off elsewhere in the summer. Because whether the argument is that Liverpool might want to get him for free in the summer, well, yeah, but he's not going to sign a new contract anyway. He might go for free, but how much is he going to realistically cost us in January? If you're willing to go and buy Semenyo, I think his release clause was 45 million. Yes, Richard Hughes has got the connections to Bournemouth, and yes, it's come out in social media recently that the release clause is active from January for Semenyo, and Liverpool can trigger that if we want to. We have the money. We do. So I think if we were to get Semenyo and then not get a centre half, there's issues within the hierarchies of the football club. So yeah, I think Marc Guehi, he's a Liverpool player. He's a Liverpool player in January.
I don't disagree with you. The only thing that I would say is it depends on how much Palace want for Guehi. And the reason I say
That's
that
the
is
big
because
question.
if Palace
Yeah,
have
that's the thing.
like if Palace turn around and say, well, we're still in the Conference League and we have a good chance of winning this, and we're still in cup competitions and we're sat mid-table in the Premier League, we're not selling our best defender in January, and you can wait until the summer, which is a problem, because then you're like, okay, well, now Liverpool's hands are tied. And just on the summer thing of leaving it to the last day, Paul Joyce came out and said earlier on in the year that Liverpool had already agreed personal terms with Guehi before the Charity Shield game. And we had put in a bid immediately after the Charity Shield game, and then gave them the exact same bid again by the end of August on deadline day, which they only accepted. They had a month to figure it out and pick somebody and get somebody in.
Do you think that's Glasner then? Is that Glasner just like?
Oh, that's Glasner basically saying, I'm going to, throw myself off the top of Sellers Park if you get rid of him.
Yeah, he's the captain as well, isn't he? Don't get me mistaken, Guehi. He's the captain, isn't he?
Yeah,
Palace?
he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
that's
like you said, if they're gonna want to get rid of him, he's the captain. He's the best centre half, maybe the best player. There's the mid-table, the Conference League. It's how much would you, if you were Crystal Palace, Stephen? Let me ask you this: how much would you charge Liverpool for Marc Guehi in January?
I wouldn't sell him.
Well, there you go.
Straight
Then.
up,
So
I straight up.
Is it off the table then?
Yes, I'd have if I was Parish at Palace, I'd have it off the table until I would be fine with letting him walk for free, because if you look at it in the long run, the money that you would get from getting to the final of the Conference League, which they have a good chance of doing, Palace, they're a good team.
Yeah.
They have a good chance of getting to that final, or at least getting far in that competition.
Yeah.
Liverpool got 80 million euro from finishing top of the league phase of the Champions League last year. Getting to the final of the Conference League is infinitesimally more than what you would get from Marc Guehi in January in any reasonable way. So the better chance that you have of getting that money that can set you up to have a full summer and go and invest in the summer, you're going to keep Marc Guehi. Yeah. That's the way that I look at it. And unless Marc Guehi has a clause in a contract, which he doesn't at the moment, similar to Semenyo, because otherwise, if you were trying to get Semenyo without the clause that's in his contract, Bournemouth are easily asking for 100 million. So it's one of those where, yes, we want him and we can get him, but the club needs to want to sell him as well. And I think that's what a lot of people on football Twitter seem to not understand, or at least don't want to understand, is that two clubs need to want to do the deal and the player needs to want the move for that to be possible. You can say, oh, well, why didn't we move for X, Y, or Z player? Maybe they didn't want to fucking come here. And then that's the problem as well, where people are like, oh, well, why wouldn't they want to come here? And I'm like, any number of reasons there could be. Like, there's a lot of people that have, shall I say, an arrogance about them that, yes, we're Liverpool Football Club. Yes, we are one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yes, we can offer trophies and we can offer success and a devoted fan base that will back you to the nines. But not everybody wants that. These guys are motivated by money at the end of the day. And a prime example of this, exactly that. But the prime example of this is Lenny Euro. Liverpool and Real Madrid were in for Lenny Euro and said, you will be the next guy. So Real Madrid said, we want you to learn behind Rudiger and come in after Rudiger. And we said, we want you to come in behind Van Dijk and play behind Van Dijk and learn and then take over from him. Manchester United said, we'll give you a 2,000% increase on your salary and make you a starter straight away. And he jumped at that chance. Like it doesn't. You chose Man United in their current state over Liverpool and Real Madrid.
It's money.
Like it's that at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that Marc Guehi is going to be like that, but I'm looking at it from a point of view of Palace. Final of the Conference League are really crapping out of the Conference League. Then yeah, I completely get that. They're like, look, let's get the money now because we're going to lose them and we're not going to get anything out of the Conference League at this point. We've made our money essentially. We know what we're getting. Whereas if they have the opportunity to get way more money out of it, they're going to keep them. And that's the way I sort of feel about Bournemouth as well if they didn't have the clause on them. But it's one of those that's just unfortunate. Like
100%, lads.
Dylan, I'm going to throw it over to you as well with the likes of Marc Guehi. Is he? Do you going to come in January, or do you think Palace are going to be open to selling?
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation a couple of times, haven't we, Steve? I think for me it'd be a case of I would like to see us test the waters and see what they're willing to take or not take in January. I'd go in with, I think I would go with 20, 25 million. Say, here you go, here's the cash on the table. It's risk and reward. You either wait and see whether you can win the Conference League, and if you do, fair folks to you, and you take that money from that. Here's the money right now for him. It's on the table. You can have it, and then you can kind of, if you get somebody else in for the Conference League, all the best to you. But if not, this money won't be here in the summer, and he'll come to us for free. Because I'm of the opinion that the way he is with his values and stuff like that, and he kind of sticks to the things for himself. I think because it was already agreed that he was going to be coming to us, I think it's us or nothing now. We either take him for free in the summer or we get him in January. So regardless, I think he still signs for us. And just from how he is with everything else is around his values and his beliefs, I think it's a case of he agreed it with us in the summer, so he's got something in place to say, yeah, I'll still sign for you regardless of when it happens, when my contract runs out. I have the opinion, like I said last time when we mentioned it, I would rather pay 25 million for a centre-half that we know we need in January, whether that means we can then potentially push for a Champions League, an FA Cup or anything like that further down the line. The trophy would mean more than the 25 million would by bringing in a centre-half to in January for me. So regardless of the fact he's going to come for potentially for free in the summer, I would lump out the 25, whatever it is, million that they want in January, if they will even consider that as an option, just to make sure we kind of pursue a trophy on a centre-half that we all know because of our squad depth that we need. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Again, I can't really disagree with it at all, Dylan, to be perfectly honest. Like, we know that we need depth in the centre-back position, especially after poor Leone went down with the ACL, because he looks so impressive on his debut against that Southampton team. Looked, honestly, like, the fact that he made Joe Gomez look like the shaky 18-year-old debutant is a testament itself to how good of a player he is. And it's just, I raved about him the whole way through the summer, and everyone was like, how do you know that this 18-year-old kid is going to be good enough? I'm like, he's a baby Van Dijk. Just please, oh God, watch him. His numbers are unbelievable. The only thing that I said of him in the summer was that his passing volume, as in like how many passes he makes, is an awful lot less because of how Parma played. And they were basically park 11 men in the box, but he was such an absolute animal of a defender. He dog walked Lukaku, who was 3 times the size of him. There's a picture of him literally holding Lukaku by the collar and dragging him across the grass. That alone told me on him as a player. And then you seen him in the game, and there was this one moment at the start of the game, I think it was maybe about 10-15 minutes into it with Leone, just a long ball was played over the top, and he just watched it, took it down on his left foot, and then casually played it pass back to the goalkeeper while under pressure. And I was like, oh, we signed the next Van Dijk. Oh my God, we signed the next Bastoni. Oh, we're in heaven. And then the poor fucker goes and rips his ACL. But thankfully he's young enough that he's going to be able to bounce back from that. So that's the thing I'm looking forward to. Burke, when it comes to Marc Guehi, do you see it happening in January or do you see it happening in the summer? Because it seems that a lot of noise is building about him now as we're coming towards the end of November, the start of December. this sort of next couple of weeks is where people will put in some groundwork regarding the transfer window for January. You'll start to see it towards the end of November. Contacts are going to be made back and forth. And you're going to see rumours build. Noise around Marc Guehi has started to build already, and noise around Semenyo has started to build already. Do you think we go for either one of them in January?
There are a lot of scenarios, actually. As you said earlier, Crystal Palace, the key team here, because Guehi's contract is expiring in the summer transfer window, and they're in the Conference League, and they probably want to win the cup, and they don't want to sell their best center back in the January. But in the other hand, the player's contract is expiring. If you will not renew it, this is the last chance you will get the money out of the Guehi. So there are a lot of scenarios. For example, we bought Wirtz in the transfer window, and we still try to find the position of him, if we play him in the left side, or we get Szoboszlai out of the team and put him in the number 10, Szoboszlai in the right back. There are a lot of scenarios in the team, so this is very critical, not only in the Guehi side, but also in the Konate side, because there are a lot of rumors that Konate is going to Real Madrid in the summer transfer window. So if we renew the Konate's contract, and if we get Guehi at the same time, we probably create a similar scenario between Wirtz and Szoboszlai. So we need to think very carefully.
I agree with you on that, because obviously you're thinking, well, what happens then? Because in 2 years' time, Van Dijk goes, if not sooner. I personally think Mo Salah goes next summer. I think that's definitely going to be a situation for him. But then you're looking at a situation of when 2027 rolls around, now all of a sudden you have Jarell Quansah that you can bring back, who's a homegrown 25-year-old Champions League veteran, Bundesliga veteran centre-back that has a number of years of full-time starting under his belt, and has already hilariously, which just made me laugh quite a lot, pushed Trent Alexander-Arnold down the pecking order at right back for England, which is hilarious in my own opinion. Fella's holding bench to an 8 in Real Madrid and now to a centre back at right back in England. Somewhere 66 is going well, isn't it?
Unbelievable, that. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's just pure Schadenfreude, which, if you don't know what that means, is finding joy in other people's pain. It's exactly how I feel about this. You wanted your Ballon d'Or. Well, I suppose you can probably win it on FIFA, you cunt.
Yeah.
But that's the way that I think about it, to be honest with you. It's just funny because then, like, as I said, you have Jarell Quansah, who could be coming back in 2027. You then have, obviously, young guys coming through. Like, you have Amara Nalo coming through, who I've never seen somebody get 2 red cards in the space of 10 minutes of game time across 2 games. I've never seen that happen before. Poor fucker. Then when it comes to, you have Calvin Ramsey coming through at right back. Are you going to push Frimpong up further? I'm assuming it's not Guano, it's Guehi that you're meaning here, Ben. The Crystal Palace believe only Liverpool will attempt to sign Guehi, not Guano, in January, coming from Sky Sports. That doesn't shock me either. It seems like, as Dylan mentioned, it's us or nobody. It's money or nothing from us, and he seems to be the only person that, he seems to only want us. Because, as I mentioned, the reliable reports that came out of Spain said that Liverpool have pretty much wrapped it up, and interest from Barcelona and Real Madrid was there, but he's been like, no, I'm going to Liverpool. In my own opinion, I think it will help with depth, because there's about, if you play 60 games a season, you're looking at the guts of about 55,000 minutes. If not, that's not including like added time or anything. You're looking at about 57,000 minutes for all players across all competitions. your starter should really be only playing about 3,500. And when you have somebody like Konate that loves a knock as well, along with Joe Gomez that is just perpetually on an insurance claim, it's one of them that Guehi could come in and really play an awful lot of minutes. And I don't think he's really worried about his England spot, because I think that's pretty much solid and secured. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in January. I don't mind if we do sign him. I don't mind if we don't sign him. Personally, I don't think he necessarily fixes any issues that we currently have, because the issues that we currently have is just our final decision making in the final third, and knocking out some defensive errors on the back end. But when it comes to adding another body and adding depth and allowing rotation and keeping legs fresh so that we don't burn out at the end of the season, absolutely. That's what Dylan mentioned about getting a trophy at the end of the season too, whether it's a Champions League, Premier League, or an FA Cup. That should be worth it, in my own opinion. But we're going to move on now to the talk on Semenyo before we finish up about the big news then that we've seen. So make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure that you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out as well. And speaking of signings in January, Fabrizio Romano was one of those that said about a week ago, before the news came out about Semenyo's release clause, that it looked highly unlikely that Semenyo was going to leave Bournemouth in January. Then David Ornstein decided to drop his balls on the table and say, well, I've got a transfer story for you. His release clause is 65 million in January, and it needs to be triggered by a set date. Nobody has mentioned the date yet. I would imagine it needs to be set early in the transfer window to allow Bournemouth time to then get a replacement by the end of the transfer window. That's only my logical opinion on it. That's how I think it would be. Or it's set it or trigger it, and we have like 2 weeks to find somebody, kind of a thing. Could be that. That could be, and also it then gets lesser in the summer, which is even more interesting, because personally, while I did think when he renewed his contract, he would have a release clause in it, I did will pull an absolute blinder and get her there for 65 million, if not less, in the summer, which is open to all clubs. Absolutely mental. Then Fabrizio Romano just very recently has said that the likelihood of Semenyo leaving in January is about 60 to 70% is the numbers that he used. That's a big jump from very unlikely to 60 to 70%. And it almost feels, as Deck has mentioned, like he just seems like he's going to be a Liverpool player. Dylan, would you share the opinion of that? Like that he's probably just going to be a Liverpool player and Liverpool are just going to trigger the clause? Or do you think we wait until the summer?
I can't see us going in from in January, if I'm honest. I know the kind of stories that come out about the release clause and stuff like that, but I think with the kind of headaches we've already got trying to fit everyone in already and trying to make it work as we're trying to do at this point, I don't see us adding another headache into that for 65 million for the sake of it. I like you. People keep mentioning potentially Salah potentially might leave after this season if it doesn't go quite as well. And in terms of another option, then potentially for next summer, I could see that being a viable option. But as I've kind of said a couple of times about Semenyo, and we've had chats about him before, I'm of the opinion that he's having a purple patch. His name keeps coming up. His name keeps coming up into conversations for people that you potentially want to sign. Do I think he slots straight into our team straight away for 65 million? For me, no. Do I think he's a quality player? Absolutely. Do I think he would add as another kind of option within the squad? Absolutely. But 65 million for me, even as his release draws in January, I wouldn't be going near it till the summer if that's a viable option, and then see where we're at in the summer. That's where I sit on it.
The only reason I see it working is if he comes in and replaces Mohamed Salah immediately, because we need sort of his powerful running and pace on that side. Oh, we lost Deck.
Mm-hmm.
We need that sort of powerful running and pace on that side. Is he back? I think he's back. He should join back in shortly.
Yeah, and I can agree if he was going to slot in for Salah as an immediate. That's kind of the only way I could see him being in the team. But for me, I wouldn't be entertaining that as an option, because even though he has had phases this season where obviously he hasn't been on a kind of form that you'd expect him to be or want him to be, I still don't see him coming in straight away and immediately dislodging Salah straight out of the team. Chiesa's been playing well when he's been doing it, and he hasn't been able to do so, and he has come in and played well for us, so there's no reason why I could see somebody else coming in and immediately taking his place, which is, for me, why it would be a wait till the summer job.
Sorry, lads.
Yeah. No, you're all right. You're all right. So I have the Sky Sports post here that Ben put in. So This is from Sky Sports News itself. Crystal Palace believe only Liverpool may attempt to sign Marc Guehi in January. The feeling around Sellers Park is that other major European sides interested in Marc Guehi are only willing to sign him as a free agent in the summer. So this looks like we might just throw a bid in January and be like, look, come, basically. It'll be interesting to see if it works, but personally, I don't know about it. Now, on the Semenyo topic itself, I think the only way we sign him is if he's replacing Salah, like immediately. Like he's going into that right-hand side. The second he gets signed and Salah is being dropped. I don't know if that happens, because how can you justify handing Salah $500,000 a week to then half a season in, he gets benched, and then you're probably going to end up parting ways in the summer. It makes it look like you paid him the guts of what, 50. I forgot about what is it? What's 500 grand a week? It's $1 million it's 2 million every month. So it's about paying him £24 million a year.
Yeah.
For the last 12 months, just keep him around and say thanks. I mean, sure, we might have the money to do it, but it doesn't necessarily seem very smart or very fiscally responsible. The only way I see Semenyo happening is if he comes in straight away in January, replaces Mo Salah, and we get running and pace and power on that right-hand side. I'm in agreement with you, Dylan. I think he is having a massive purple patch at the moment. He is massively overperforming his XG at the minute. And the last person that did that and then moved to a big team in the Premier League, yes, he moved from the Bundesliga to the Premier League, but it was Omar Marmoush, who had 33 goal contributions before moving to the Premier League and then had 7 in the half a season after it. It's a totally different world. Assuming that he's going to be able to come in and fit in straight away in the middle of a season where we're, as you said, Dylan, struggling to fit all of these front 4 and front 3 and front 2 in already. It's going to be interesting to see. Personally, I don't know. I don't see it happening. I could see it happening next summer, more likely, and letting him play out the rest of the season and getting more data on him and seeing if it's able to be a signing that we can go for, seeing if there's any interest in Mohamed Salah for next summer, because personally, I think Salah's legs are gone. But Burke, Semenyo in January, it seems like, as I said, the noise is going to start building now over the next couple of weeks. How do you feel about the Semenyo signing? Do you think it fixes issues for us, or do you think our issues lie in different parts of the pitch?
I personally agree with you, because the Salah's situation is concerning right now, and we have Gakpo on the left side, and we need to play because we spent 150k on him. We need to play him. So when we look at it, after Diaz, we really didn't have a really good player on that left side. We can't take the performance out of Gakpo or Wirtz. So Semenyo is really good right now. As you said, he's overperforming. And as I look at the stats, 12 matches, 6 goals and 3 assists. So he's really good on Bournemouth right now. But we need to look at it carefully, because, as Dylan said, if we have money like 65 million, it is really problem for us for the money side, because you think that you will sign Marc Guehi on January and Semenyo, and we will have some issues in the future, especially in the summer, because the World Cup is coming, and some players there are shining, or etc., like James Rodriguez in the 2014. So, for example, Marc Guehi is not coming to you, or Konate is not renewing. You need to have a center back, and in the World Cup, you may have seen a really good player, and you want to buy him. So it will have issues for us in the future.
I think so too, because if we remember back to a couple of years ago when the Euros were on, so I think it was like not the summer just gone, but the summer before that, where the Euros were on, we were looking at trying to sign guys, and everyone was like, no, you got to kind of wait until after the competition and how far they go in the competition and where you can expect moves to happen. And everything kind of happened late in that window, and while teams were already in training camp, whereas we didn't really sign anybody until Mamardashvili, who we left on loan in Spain, and Federico Chiesa. And I guess we kind of had an entire summer where the whole squad was either at European competitions or in training camp. And in their continental competitions, because I think there was a lot of them on the summer before last in 2024. It's going to be very, very interesting. Genuinely is going to be very, very interesting. I think looking at that Sky Sports report, they're usually the last to news like that. So that would tell me that that's probably a little bit further on. That tells me that's news from a week ago that they're only getting now.
Yeah.
Just because that's how Sky Sports operate, and they just not how they operate, but they're shit, and they're a terrible. They are though. Like they all of a sudden they'll put out news and be like, yeah, everybody knew that a week ago on Twitter.
Breaking news, everyone knew like yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's like slow sports news. Genuinely is what it is. But it'll be interesting to see, because I can see the noise. I'm convinced now that he's a Liverpool player in January. I don't think we're going to allow it to go to the summer for him. I think we will willingly. It has to be. Yeah, I think we'll willingly risk Semenyo going to the summer because the release clause is less, and the only way I see him coming in and fitting into this squad right now is if he is Mo Salah's immediate replacement. And the AFCON finishes midway through January, so if you don't get it done till let's say it's the 5th of January you need it done by, so we trigger it by the 5th of January. So what, you get him for 10 days and Salah's back and then he's sat on the bench? What the fuck are you at? Like, personally, I don't think we're going to go into next season, the 2026-2027 season, with wingers. I think we're going to go with two up top. And I think that's and interestingly, hilariously, Semenyo actually works for that too, because he can play centrally and can play off another big man. He does it at Bournemouth, like. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. But we're going to talk about other forwards that Liverpool could have signed and finish it off with the stream for this evening. But before we do, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have your notifications on stream notifications on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. Jump down into the comments below. You will see a link straight to our YouTube page. We would very much appreciate you jumping over there, giving us a like, giving us a follow, and dropping some comments on some videos. But the biggest one is, like, we can, as Ben mentions here about Semenyo, like we can risk Semenyo because there's better options, assuming he's for left wing. There's much better options for left wing. I would rather bring him in and put him on the right wing. He has the ability to play there. He can play off both feet. If you take Semenyo in and put him in on the right wing, that means you're taking the goal scoring responsibility away from the right wing, and we're going to be playing centrally an awful lot more and feeding the striker an awful lot more. But it's just my own opinion on it. I don't think we go into next season with wingers. I think we'll do two up top in sort of a 4-3-1-2 and sort of Wirtz be your quarterback. But speaking of forwards that we could have gotten that can play across the front three, Lewis Steele reported earlier today that Liverpool turned down potential moves for both Bradley Barcola of PSG and Real Madrid's Rodrygo because they didn't want to stunt the growth of Rio Ngumoha, who has played a grand total of 100 minutes so far this season. In my own opinion, I think that's bollocks. Not that Lewis Steele is wrong, because maybe, yes, we did view Rio in that light that he was going to break through, and there's no point in bringing in another young guy for that. But I think it's more of the opinion that it was one of Isaac, Barcola, Rodrygo. Take your pick. And we picked Isaac. I think it was one of them. It was one of them three. It was going to be Ekitike and one of them three. I don't think it was Rio or one of them two. That was never going to be the case, because both Barcola, Rodrygo, they can play all across the front three, have done so for Real Madrid and for PSG, and they're big pressing guys. Barcola is a little bit more slim in frame. He actually is as tall as Cody Gakpo but weighs less than Harvey Elliott, would you believe? And that is not a joke. he like a stiff breeze looks like it'd knock him over. But Burke, I'll throw it over to you first regarding this. do you think Liverpool made the right decision, assuming it is Isaac? It was one of Isaac, Rodrygo, or Barcola. Did Liverpool make the right decision in taking that 125 million and putting it on Alexander Isak?
Based on Isaac, yes, we picked the right choice, but in the Ekitike situation, I think differently, because we sold Diaz to Bayern Munich, and we need to have a series style player on that left side. So Barcola is really a good player. Last year he won the Champions League with PSG, and Luis Enrique played him in the upfront with Quara and Due, I think. So he's a really good player, and he fits in our team, I think. So we can take it from PSG, not at HTK. But in the Rodrygo situation, I don't think it fits in the left winger. So when we look at the Real Madrid, Vinicius on that left side and Rodrygo on that right side, or in the Carlos time, he was playing center. So, for example, if we release Salah or sold Salah, etc., you can take Rodrygo, but when we think or when we think that our left side, Rodrygo is not a good player on that left side, I think so. Barcola's maybe was the right choice over HTK, but past is past, so we can take the time back. HTK is a really good player. He's performing as well, but in our team, we can play two up front or with the two wingers. So if we play like that, we need to Soboslai or Wirtz on the bench. So it's a really problem for us. That's it.
I don't think we would actually need to bench both Soboslai or Wirtz, either one of them. I think you could play a 4-3-1-2 where you have a midfield trio of McAllister, Soboslai, and Gravenberch, where Gravenberch would then...
Sorry. As I said, within the 4-4-3 formation with Isaac and Ekitike.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay. So the four, with 4-3-3, yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Somebody misses out on that, and I think that's why the formation change is coming, because you're going to then get your 300 million worth of forwards in Wirtz, Ekitike, and Isaac on the pitch at the same time by playing two up front and playing Wirtz behind them. But in your 4-3-3 or your 4-2-3-1, somebody misses out, and that's the unfortunate aspect of it. Unless you drop Salah, somebody misses out. That's the only way it happens. Mm-hmm. Dec, Rodrygo, Barcola, Isaac. Did we make the right choice?
Yeah, I mean, it's Alexander Isak, 100%. I don't think it's anything to do with Rio Ngumoha. The pathway's open for him regardless, because he's a fantastic talent, and we would never have got him if we weren't interested in bringing him into the football club. So at the end of the day, Rio Ngumoha, he's a very young talent, and if you're bringing in a Bradley Barcola or Rodrygo and Alexander Isak, and you're thinking it's either one of them two or an Isak type of thing, because of Rio Ngumoha, that's just ridiculous. These players have done it for many years. Well, I know Rodrygo's been at Real Madrid for many years, and Bradley Barcola's been doing it over in Paris. So for me, Alexander Isak coming in was the right choice. I think he is going to be our number 9, potentially, as you said, Stephen, earlier on. We go for the two up top. I think we will change the formation, a 4-3-1-2, 26-27. The era of the Mane, Salah and Firmino winger formation, the 4-3-3. I think that's gone now. I think you can see what slot's 4-4. But I also think, Rio Ngumoha is a fantastic footballer going forward on that left wing, and the pathway won't be blocked for him, because the football club aren't stupid enough to let that happen. We are Liverpool at the end of the day, and as much as we have these thoughts and worries, etc., the people who are in charge of this type of thing, whether that's the coaches, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, down up to John Henry himself, the owner of FSG. These people aren't stupid enough to let something like that happen. So Alexander Isak coming in, I think it is destined for him to play as a two with Ekatike. It would be nice to have had a Barcola or a Rodrygo, but we've got Ngumoha, we've got Isak, we've got Ekatike. This ties into what I said earlier with the Semenyo stuff. We've got so many forwards now. We can't even fit them all in together. We're talking about Rio Ngumoha fitting into the team. Where's Semenyo going to come into that? We've got too many forwards as it is. Not too many. That sounds bad. I should reword that. What I mean is we've got a lot of attacking options for now. So I think we're all right. I think Isak was the right choice for sure.
Yeah, I can agree in a long-term sense. I think more so from a versatility sense, I think either one of Barcola or Rodrygo might have been a better option purely because they have the ability to play across an entire front three. I think they would have helped us more in the now.
That's the thing, because Slot admires the PSG type of football that Luis Enrique plays. Sorry to interrupt you, Stephen, but Arnie Slot, looking at the way PSG play football, Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, these players can play across Dembele right across the front line, and we know how much Slot admires that PSG team. So I agree with the versatility, the argument on that for sure.
I think as well, Slot is looking at the fullbacks and how they play with PSG with Hakimi and I can't remember the name of the other guy, Mendes. How the two of them just get up and down and get up and down and get up and down. And I think moving to that 4-3-1-2 is probably going to help that. And then you have your creative influence in Florian Wirtz, who hilariously across the Champions League and the Premier League in 15 games has 32 chances created and he has 2 assists. The lads need to start putting his chances away, which is mental. Dylan, to finish us off. Oh, he's an absolute baller of a player. Look, the 2 passes that he made for Germany over the week was just fantastic. Dylan, Barcola, Isak, Rodrygo. Do you think that we chose Rio Ngumoha over the 2 of them guys, or was it a choice between the 3 big guns of Barcola, Isak, or Rodrygo? I personally think it was the latter. What do you think?
No, I think it's a statement of hyperbole based on circumstance and kind of a bit of hindsight in there as well based on it, because it's just going to be that he's involved in the options on that left-hand side. That's all it is as a squad. So there's him, there's Chiesa, there's Gakpo, there's Wirtz can play there, Ekatike can move across if need be. So it's just that he's in that conversation. It's not that he's replacing either of the 2 of those if they would potentially be in the team. And I think in terms of when you look how the summer went in terms of the transfers, let's face it, when everyone looked at our transfers over the summer, pretty much everyone was happy with it. 90%, 95% of people looked at us and went, no, they've had a really good transfer window to have they signed. So can't now look back on it just because a couple of injuries and a bit of form drop that people go, oh, all of a sudden they didn't do what they needed to do in the summer, and kind of look back and go, well, we could have signed these 2 just for the sake of an argument of that. So I think when you look at how it kind of played out, we signed Wirtz because he's the player we wanted. Then we were looking at Ekatike, and us and Newcastle were in the conversation, and we kind of pushed through it and said, well, if you're not going to let us have Isak, we'll have Ekatike then, because we're still happy to have him as one of our players. Then all of a sudden Isak became available to us later in the window after them saying that he wouldn't be. So do I think there was conversations with Rodrygo and Barcola potentially at some stage? Probably. Yeah, there probably was conversations that happened with them. But at the end of the day, the players that we wanted are the players that we got, and that's why we were willing to go and spend that amount of money on them. So like I say, I think it's just kind of blown up as a result of him being mentioned as an option within the squad that we've still got, rather than he was there to replace either of the 2 of them.
No, I completely agree. I think it's just blown completely out of proportion. The way that I look at it is I think the signings that we made are for Liverpool post-Salah, as in our attacking options post-Salah, where we're just going to move to a front 2. Our wingers are going to get up and down. You're going to have a midfield 3 of those. It'll be interesting to see how this develops over the next while, because our January window will kind of tell us how we're looking to go. And I think if Marc Guehi comes in, you're looking at getting 3 ball-playing guys that can sort of sit deep, with Ryan Gravenberch being one. You have Virgil van Dijk being the other, who will, in my opinion, be replaced by Jarell Kwanzaa in 2 years. And then you have, or a year and a half, should I say, 18 months. And then you have Obviously, if you bring in Marc Guehi over Ibrahima Konate, who Marc Guehi, while yes, he's a lesser of a defender, he's an unbelievable player on the ball, and just his passing range is brilliant. So if that's what you're looking to do, every window will confirm to me if we are going to sit in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, or if we're moving to a front two. The January window will tell me all I need to know about that. But we are going to end it there, guys. We've just gone over the hour. I want to thank Burke, Dec, and Dylan for joining me. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure of your notifications on for all future streams and videos as well, so that you never miss out. We will be back again live with a pre-game stream on Friday, gearing up for the game against Nottingham Forest at the weekend, where Liverpool return home to face Nottingham Forest in the first game back in the Premier League. So we're looking forward to that. For myself, Burke, Dylan, and Dec, thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday evening stream, and we hope to see you